The 59th book that I read in 2024 is Sara Bareilles' Sounds Like Me, a collection of 8 essays that she wrote a few years ago. I think 2017 was when this book came out. I actually use these essays in my classroom because they, even though they're about Sara Bareilles, her life is filled with a lot of the issues that my students deal with, like body dysmorphia, like divorce, like looking in the mirror and not liking yourself. Is a lot of social and emotional learning that can come out of this book. And even though, and I use it with AP, and even though I'm sure the lexile of this book is at an 8th or ninth grade level, but the product that my students write after they're done with it, the essays that I get after they're done with it, are unbelievable and incredible. And I learn so much about my kids. Usually it makes me very sad. They do mostly end with a happy ending, but I get a lot of middle school bullying. I get a lot of middle school body shaming essays, things like that. And it just really reminds me that when my kids come into the classroom, sometimes English isn't what's on their mind. Sometimes English isn't the priority in their lives. And this book really does the trick for that. So there are 8 essays. Each of them are named after one of Sara Bareilles' songs. And then they kind of go in chronological order from when she was a child all the way through writing the musical Waitress, which is the last essay in the book. I teach 4 of them to my students, and I'd like to read some of the statements that Bareilles makes in her essays, because I think you'll be able to see the universality of this book. She actually says in the introduction to the book that nobody needs this book but me. That's a direct quote. And I think that she is very wrong. This book is filled with empathy and filled with hope. And I just think reading about someone who's famous and someone who's been on TV and in movies and has hosted the Tony Awards and has written a musical and is obviously very wealthy, I think hearing that she has all of the same problems that the rest of us do sends a really great message to my students. So let me just pick out a few passages here. One of the things she writes is, "It's unpredictable how we are changed by what challenges us as children. Those images of myself swim inside me even now, and it's disturbing how much pleasure I still feel ripple through me when I share this part of my story and someone says they can't see it, that they can't imagine me as a fat kid. I see her every single day." And she qualifies the word fat. She says she would never use it, but that's what her peers called her when she was younger. "Sadly, it's the exact same kind of heartbreak that can come back years later with the same characteristics and yet somehow even more venom." Talking about a breakup. "There is no quick fix for the bitter pill of acceptance." I mean, it's almost aphorisms, isn't it? "I could clearly see my own pattern of returning to something that was not serving me, and yet I kept choosing to repeat it over and over." "You seek approval and validation from just about everyone around you, and you lose your own opinion along the way." "Life is a big, long free fall, and the sooner you can embrace what is beautiful about that, the sooner you will start to enjoy the ride." That's a chapter where she's writing letters to her younger self, still to her younger self. "There are always going to be reasons to doubt your own worth. The question is, how far do you allow yourself to go down that road before you look up and realize that, just like that girl in the ruby red slippers, you had the power to come home all along." And then finally, from the essay on Brave, her most popular song, "The essence of bravery is being without self-deception. I have spent so much time and energy in my life telling myself hundreds of little lies. Lies about the way I feel or don't feel. Lies about what I want. Lies about the things I want to do. Lies about the people who make me feel safe or the kind of art I actually want to make. All these lies that muddy up the honest conversation I could have been having with myself and the world around me." This is a great book. I realize that if you don't like Sara Bareilles or you don't know Sara Bareilles, this is probably not a book that you're going to read. But if you are a Sara Bareilles fan and you haven't read this book, it is well worth it.